Good afternoon, everybody. All the beautiful souls that are with me today. Hope everyone's doing all right, man. I been busy, quite busy this morning. So I'm just not getting out, but I wanted to get something out, man. I've been doing pretty good. Doing pretty good, you know. I just been trying to not keep to myself. Been trying to keep myself occupied. You know, I've been busy with working and helping out family, so that's been nice. But you know, I just got done watching a video, and it made me really reflect on my life, and you know, a lot of the role models that I've had growing up in my life. It's true strength comes from within, right? True strength comes from within. You know, I think a lot of people like to associate, you know, their worth or their value, or you know, just their identity with things that are external to them, whether it be accomplishments, you know, like, you know, or like their job that they have, you know, different things that are considered status symbols in quotation, right? Like some people like to flaunt that they have like a lot of partners, or some people like to flaunt that they you know, have a lot of cars or a lot of money, right? Things that are very external to them, right? But true strength comes from within, you know, and I truly believe that it comes from within oneself, and it's up to you to be able to discover that. My bad, I had to put it away for a second. But yeah, it comes from within, you know. I myself included, you know, I used to associate my value or my worth with things that were external to me, you know, because that's all I thought that I was, right? For example, you know, my grades, right? Like in school, right? I would only associate my worth with how good my grades were, right? Because, you know, I wanted like some form of validation, right? You know, like if I had straight A's, you know, I would be like, oh, okay, that's nothing, right? You know, like I'm supposed to get straight A's, you know, it's whatever, right? It's not really an accomplishment. But if I were to slip up and do bad on like a test or something, I'd be like, man, I'm so worthless. Like, you know, it's like I don't have any value to me because I did so poorly on this thing that is external to me as a being, right? And it's taken me a while to even like make that connection, like at all, like to like not only like my childhood, but just like my life in general. You know, I would always only focus on things externally instead of internal things within myself, like, you know, like my characteristics, right? You know, like if I would have friends, for example, right? I would have friends, and you know, I would hang out with them, and I would do things, right? But if I felt like, and again, this is some nuance to it because I did have some pretty bad friends, but if I felt like my friends didn't mess with me, or if I felt like I was like just not being treated right, I'll be like, dang, what's wrong? Like, am I just that worthless? Like I can't even have friends anymore, right? Or it's like even things as silly as like a game, right? Because I would play a lot of games, and I try to do my best, but if I wasn't doing good, I'd be like, damn, what's wrong with me? You know, I'm not even that worthless. Right? And so true strength comes from within. How you doing, sir? Okay. True strength comes from within, and it takes a while to even figure that out or acknowledge it, right? For a lot of people, because I think, especially for young men, males in general, we have been sold this, or not sold. We have been told that our purpose is to, you know, be able to be of service to those around us, right? providing money, right? Being able to pay the bills, get a house, being able to raise a family, like have kids and take care of your wife, right? Be like that is like a traditional, way that men have been taught to try to live, right? And so because of that, you would see men who would do things that they don't like just because they feel like they have to do these things, right? Because otherwise they don't have any value, right? When in reality, the true strength is doing the things that you want, doing things that help you out, right? Because by being able to help yourself out, you will in turn be able to help others around you, right? By finding their own strength, by finding your own passion, right? By doing things for you and not for anyone else, by doing things for you, you will in turn help out other people more than you can realize, because you are being of service to yourself. However, you have to find things internally as well, because a lot of people, they chase external things, whether it be trying to find or trying to make as much money as possible, for example, right? Or working a lot of hours, sacrificing their health just because they want to be able to make the next big thing, right? And while there is a certain degree to that, that's admirable, being able to actually push yourself to work hard to do something, right? That is something that you should be able to do, right? It shouldn't come at the cost of your own health or your own well-being, right? I believe personally, true strength is being able to understand when you need to take a break, right? When you need to take a break, when you need to acknowledge that, okay, maybe I do need some help, right? I do need help with this. I can't do this alone, right? And so, I need to reach out and actually have someone talk to someone, right? A lot of people that I know, right? And maybe this might be even be you, tend to do things, just by themselves, right? Just by themselves, I got this, I don't need any help, or man, I could figure this all out on my own, when we as humans, we've come this far because we've relied on each other. Hi, dogs. We come this far because we've relied on each other and because we were able to help with each other, right? And this could just be, an American thing, right? This idea of individual, or being individualistic, right? Being to yourself, only caring about yourself, right? That is not, in my opinion, that's not really feasible. That doesn't really help anyone, right? When in reality, if you're able to ask for help or being able to help others, right? That will be more beneficial, because by helping others, you will also, help yourself, because then they'll be more inclined to help you, and then that'll just keep going back and forth, So yeah, true strength comes from within, man. You need to acknowledge when it is that you need to take a break, when it is that maybe you need to sit down, when you need help, right? And it could be hard, especially when a lot of people are always on go time, or they feel like relaxing is not really a good thing, right? That's not true. That's not true. Because, and this is just coming from a biological standpoint now, there's only so much energy that we can use, right? And when we're when we're sleeping, that's when our body recharges, right? And so being able to actually get proper rest, be able to relax, is the most beneficial thing that you can do. So, I don't know. That's just something that I've thought about, and how it applies to my life. Sometimes I feel like when I'm resting, I feel like I'm like quote unquote failing or not doing what I could be doing, right? And maybe there is some truth to that. But then I realized that, being on go 24/7 is not beneficial. There's so much more than, just making a bunch of money, right? Or making the next big thing, or having a lot of partners, right? Like those alpha male that like that whole what is it called, the manosphere? I don't know, I don't keep up with that shit. Excuse my language. But that whole sphere is a bunch of BS. But because of how impressionable young men are, people fall for it. And I want to potentially be a voice that said, that is not real. And true strength comes from within, and understanding that you need to listen to yourself and know when to take a break, when to ask for help, and understand that maybe you can do things alone, but you don't need to. And so here's what I want to end off with, man. There's so much more to this world, but you have to be able to see it, right? You have to be able to take some time and see it, right? Even if there are things that you're doing right now that maybe you don't want to do, right? Or maybe you feel like you need to do, there's still things that you can be doing. Or, my bad, I'll put it away again. What was I saying? Even if you feel like you're constantly on go, maybe you feel like you can't really relax. I'm here to tell you that's not really true, man. You are able to, but you have to be able to listen to yourself, right? It's going to be a lot of challenging times, a lot of trials that you're going to face, but it's going to be all right. As long as you believe it is going to be all right. And build meaningful relationships with people around you. Hey, the more meaningful relationships that you can build, the easier it is that you can navigate, just any challenges in life. Because you built those relationships and you're able to hopefully, rely on these people, right? Yeah, that's what I got, man. I hope through all that yapping, something stuck. I know that wasn't necessarily the most coherent, linear passage of words that I could have said, but that's okay. I'm still going to post it. If you're seeing this, I love you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Make sure to take care of yourself, because the only person who can take care of you is you. And always remember, true strength comes from within, but you have to listen to yourself. Have a good one.